The explore part.
Uh-huh.
You're talking about Japan last time.
Oh, yeah.
There is something parallel about that. About you sort of going out in the world and recharging your explore batteries.
I was thinking about like travel and me and why it's such a big deal in my life now. I realized that I didn't travel much. I mentioned, as a kid, I lived in the same apartments for like 16 years. And even in my early adulthood, college age, I wasn't the kids who were like going backpacking in Europe or just had that itch. I knew people like that, but I didn't understand it. I didn't understand. It seemed like really hard and complicated and like kind of a pain in the ass, like to go travel to see the world. And it wasn't until started working more professionally and getting like basically thrown out into these different parts of the world to go to a meeting or a pitch or whatever, that I started to get windows into these other perspectives, these other ways that humans live, these other normalities, like what normal is in another place. And that really opened me up. And I would just come back. It's something, I don't know, it kind of feels like it hacked my brain a bit to just see reality from another angle in a way. But it was pretty late. I think it was, for me, it was mid 30s, or no, probably like, it was in my 30s, like early to mid 30s where that started to happen. And so, I actually went to Japan the first time with a research trip for the Nike work. And I was like, what is this? Right? like it's just like, because everything gets flipped on your head, it just feels so foreign. But there's so much that makes sense to it. And I think for design mind people, there's just something about it that like clicks and you're just like, yes, I don't know what this is, but I'm in, right? And when I started getting out and exploring Japan in particular, in going outside of like the city and going outside of Tokyo, and you just see how beautiful country it is, and just more that it's a culture that respects nature and has a different relationship with nature than I think many other Western countries do. And I mean, it's probably connected to Shintoism and that sort of thing, but there's something about that harmony with nature that's very calming. So for me, it opens me up because it creates space and it creates quiet that I haven't really found in many other places.
And you by yourself?
Yeah, I got a pretty noisy life. So, I have a lot of people around me all the time. So the space to be with myself and it's something that helps reset and open up.
What goes through your head?
I try to not let a whole lot go through. It's less about, our minds are noisy, so there's going to always be things you're worried about, things you're thinking about, dreaming about, whatever. But I try to get to the point where you're just there, and you're actually just letting it just flow through you, like what your eyes and ears and what you're smelling. If you're able to let that go through you, that's what you want. It's less about, oh, eureka, I have this amazing idea about this next thing. It's like, no, that's not what you want. You just want it to be able to like flow through you, and that will create the space, I think, in your mind so that when you come back to those things, there's more room to breathe and to see different connections than you saw before. So it's about that change of perspective, and it's about that being present piece that I think helps.
I think it's really fascinating what travel does for you
Mm-hmm.
and what Instagram has done for travel in terms of shrinking the world.
Yeah, I was reading an article about that, like looking at it in more of a negative light, but I think it's net positive, I think.
How do you reconcile that polarity where to put a voice to it, to say, well, people now just go and collect Instagram experiences. They're not actually enjoying the place.
I mean, maybe it's an optimistic thing, but I think that if it inspires you to go out and see something, right? Yeah, sure, you'll take a picture of it, whatever, but hopefully you also sit there in that spot and absorb it. You're not just there to take a picture and then like, okay, I did it, check the box, and not be there. I'm a little more optimistic that people are there. There's more to just an image. Like you can't, the smells and sights of a place, you're going to absorb that. You're going to have that memory. And And I think that's become more people